Two, one. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to All Things Dr. Leo, and I'm here with my wonderful guest, dear friend, colleague, guru of entertainment. I would say for sure is Gina Waters Miller. Good morning, Gina. We are so glad to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Leo. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You're looking wonderful. I mean, she's so spiffy, you all. Yesterday was a whole nother look, and this morning she's got it going on. Gina, you look
Listen,
beautiful. Skin is beautiful. And you're beautiful inside and out. We want you to know
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Well, we got
Well, here's the thing. My mama said to me, don't embarrass me. So that's
well, we know
always
that
the point of reference when I
we
talk
ain't worried
about
about it.
stuff.
We ain't worried about it. We know that's not gonna happen. So we're going to begin with a word of prayer, and we got a lot of information
Absolutely.
you're going to share with us. And at the end, Gina, you'll close with prayer, but I'll
Yes,
open your mind. So Lord, we honor
that's
you
right.
today. We give you praise and glory for this day that you have made. We ask that you bless all that unfolds out of this conversation for Gina, and that those that are listening will be blessed, they'll be encouraged, be edified, and we'll see wonderful things as a result of bringing glory to your name in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so Gina, tell us. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Tina. Hey, Adrian. So, good morning. Tell us where you're originally from.
Well, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee.
See, a lot of people didn't know that.
Born and raised, South Memphis
Wow,
38106.
wow,
If I wasn't on, well, I'm gonna say it like we said. It's 38106, but it's
right,
more than Memphians watching. So I want
right,
them to know. I do know it ain't an O, it's a zero. So it's
right, right.
38106.
So,
I'm
tell
proud
us
of that
about
though.
your school and church upbringing. I believe you were at Metropolitan, but tell us about where'd you go to school and all those kind.
Well, here's the thing, I it's interesting because I've had a lot of time in the last few weeks to really think about this, but everything that is connected to my entire life was steeped right there in that zip code. And I think we talk about,
Wow.
I throw that zip code out as a term, as an endearing thing, but it really was the foundation of so much of what is still my life right now. Absolutely. My home church was a significant place and had a significant part in the musical knowledge that I have now, and that church is right there in the heart of South Memphis,
Yeah.
as well as I can't mention my church without mentioning Lemoyne, where most of
Yeah.
my family went. I didn't go there, but my grandmother was one of the first graduating students of that college, and we're like
Wow.
5 generations deep there now. I have nieces and nephews there, and that's right next door to our church. Right
Yeah.
from there, the Y was an integral part of my
Yeah.
upbringing. The Boys and Girls Club. I mean, there are so many things. I went to school right there in Lincoln. I went to Lincoln Elementary. And
Wow.
when I didn't go to Lincoln, I went to Hollywood Elementary in North Memphis where my mom taught. But I went to Bellevue Junior High, I went to Central High, I went to UTK Knoxville, I went to Belmont. And so that's the upbringing. Those are the schools that I
Yeah.
went to, and I will say, my first music I bought right there in that zip code at Boss Ugly Bob's record shop on Macklemore.
Right. Right.
Some of I walked there because that was the record store that was
Yeah.
closest to us. We Pop
Wow.
Tunes was a car ride away. We
Yeah.
could walk to Boss Ugly Bob's,
Boss Hogg,
and
yeah.
so I think that Stax Records right there on Macklemore. I caught the bus right there in front of Stax many a day going to school when it was still boarded up,
Yeah.
and wasn't renovated as beautiful as it is right now. So yeah, that city and that community was just that for me. It was more than just where I grew up. It was truly
Yeah.
tribal and communal, and I'm just grateful to be a product of the city.
So how did the origins of all of you share shape your outlook on music? It seemed like I can hear just by standing in front of Stacks, your school, the Lemoyne. How did all that shape your outlook on music, Jim?
Well, here's the thing. So being a part of, well, first of all, let me start with that the music that I believe was just a part of my beginning foundation was laid in our home. Like my mom was our pianist in Metropolitan for years, and she
Mm,
taught choirs, and so that music. I mean, my mom's South Memphis house. She still's in that same house she's been in for the last 60 years. My mom's still in that house, but in that house was music. Music was playing all the time. We had two pianos. My grandmother played the piano. She taught her 10 children how to play. And so consequently, those were the first places where I heard music was at home and then going to
mm,
church. And so from there, everywhere we went, there was music. It wasn't uncommon to see Rufus Thomas and Carla Thomas at events around the city,
Mm,
because of the circles that my mom, that they traveled in. My mom's part of a trio, so they sang in a lot of places, and I think that this music was just everywhere we turned. And so,
right.
as a little girl, we had the neighborhood piano teacher. And so, interestingly enough, my mom didn't teach me piano. I was taught originally by Miss Elmertha Cole. Do you remember Miss Cole?
Wow. No, no, I don't.
Okay, so Miss Cole was the piano teacher for our neighborhood, but she was a member of Salem Gillfield Baptist Church.
Oh,
And so she saw me somewhere playing around on the piano at a church event, and she told my mom, bring that little girl to me. And I was about 5 years old. And I actually stayed with Miss Cole until the time of her passing. And from there,
wow.
Eddie Pryor became my piano teacher. He was our organist at our church. So
Oh,
all of
wow.
these things were really connected in a way that I didn't know how much, how these dots were going to truly create this picture that's now. But I can look back now and see what was forming well before I understood what the picture was going to be.
Yes,
And so I'm just appreciative. I mean, even, my sister, I can remember her being at the Morn's Choir. Dr. Green was there, Mildred
yes,
Green, like, all these different things. And
yes,
so I don't know that I believe, looking now, that any of it was an accident, that I was able to move in so many circles where music was a prominent part of what was being
right,
played.
right.
So I think that that's really where it all started.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. We're celebrating the life of Dr. Green, Mildred Green, this weekend. She passed, and that service is tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Central Baptist. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Gina, you have gleaned vast knowledge serving as a musician, a licensed music teacher. I've read your bio, creative entrepreneur, and an industry veteran. Share with us some examples and highlights of your experiences in these roles, as much as you
Well, you
can.
know what? I think now everyone asks me a lot. So I get to, the fun part about um, being able to do a lot of different things is that I don't know that I look at myself as not doing any of them in some way.
Mm,
I get to, I do a lot of work at Belmont, and right now doing some things over at TSU. And so they ask, do you miss teaching, or would you want to teach later? And I'm like, I teach every day. I still feel
yeah,
like that's a big part of who I am and what I do. I don't feel that one cancels out the other. I do
right.
believe that the fortunate thing is, when I look at those things that you just named, that I call the gifts that I have, they really all work in tandem together. Like, they
Yes,
are
yes,
they are one big thing that just moves everything preferably forward in the way that it's supposed to. Mentoring, you can't mentor without teaching. You can't mentor without bringing up just information that helps those that seek and desire to be in the industry. So
right.
I just think they all really work together. And I'm really
Yes,
grateful that I don't have to, silo out time to do different things. They all just kind of show up and
yes,
and manifest in whatever way that is.
right. Tell us about your current role. You're vice president and general manager at Entertainment One. So tell us what that role. Tell us about your job, what you do, what role you play in the music arena. For so many, I mean, Jonathan Nelson was with us the other Sunday,
Oh, I
and
love Jonathan.
he just went. I just said all I could get out was Gina. I couldn't even get Miller out. And it's just through the roof. The admiration and what you've done for the careers of so many musicians. So tell us about what you do at Entertainment One.
You know what? I can I just say servant and let that be that? No,
Yeah, yeah.
no, no,
That's
no, no.
you.
I mean, in a real measurable way, I think that I feel like, more than anything, it's the management of expectation.
Yeah,
It's the management of purpose. I had this. I have this real glossy few lines of what the job is like on paper. Like, if you were to look up a job description,
right.
that would be kind of synonymous, no matter where the company is and what the company is, like what the role should take on. But really, for me, moving away from, artist signings and production and bottom lines and all that,
Yeah,
really and truthfully, I feel that I work the most trying to make sure and ensure that we are tapping, that we are understanding the artists that we serve and
Mm,
really tapping into their purpose. Because here's the thing, it's not a one size fits all job once they come in house. Like once
right.
we get them to the table and there, all the music is different. How we approach how the music gets to the world is different. All of it is really based on who they are, what the
Yeah.
music dictates is needed, and
Yeah.
how we get the job for the bottom line done once that
Right.
bottom line is created. And so I think ultimately, I just feel like if we chase purpose completely,
Mm,
like we answer that with everything,
mm,
is this, and that's how you know what's necessary or not. Some things are not necessary that we do,
yeah.
and I think we went into last year and I was like, let's stop doing the things that are habitual if they aren't meaningful, because you
Right.
can get in a rhythm of just doing things because you've always done them, or because
Yeah.
they've always been done, or because people think you should be doing them. I'm like, no, like if this makes no sense, like let's strip that away, so you really get to hone in on the things that matter the most. And when you focus on those things, I just believe if it's really connected to purpose, everything else will work itself out.
It's amazing, and I'm gathering too from I've viewed your page this week how so many from under your wing are being celebrated at the Stellar Awards that are nominated for awards. And I looked at the variety of artists. I mean, it's a treatment of autonomy, individualized. You meet the need of that individualized talent, that individualized person. You see that in these, and they're all rising to the top in their gifted area of giftedness.
Yeah, it's funny when I look at the nominations. I think what I'm most proud of, and I don't know that anyone externally would know this, but I have been very intentional internally in trying to make sure that we create space. Veterans have a place, absolutely. Like,
Mm,
we have a number of veteran artists that I'm so excited that are still calling Entertainment One their recording home. But I
wow.
also wanted to make space and a place for upcoming talent and
Yeah.
emerging talent, for the underdogs, for the
Yeah.
underserved, for those that hadn't gotten a shot yet. And so it's just really where my heart is, to see us create a home that we can all live together and
Yeah.
everyone's gifts can be appreciated and
Yeah.
celebrated. And I believe, looking at what the people said, because the Stellars, when it comes down to it, that's the people's vote.
Yeah.
We do our part on the onset, but then the
Yeah.
people come in on the backside and they do the voting as to
Yeah.
how we get to where we are right now. And so looking at these nods, it's just really I look at it and I just thank God the other day that He honored my heart in that, and that I
Mm,
see the emerging artists now here on the same ticket, really more or less, with the veterans, and
yeah.
I'm overwhelmed just thinking
Yes.
about it right now.
Yes. Oh, that's just tremendous work. So tell us, Gina, about your early introduction to the world of the music entertainment. So was that your initial call, or what were you doing? How did it happen? Or
Well, you know what? So my story is like most people. I met somebody who knew somebody, right?
right? Oh no, did we lose you? I think you froze, Gina. You there? Let's see. Did you froze? Gina froze. I believe our Gina has frozen. Let's see. I hope we not lost her. Something's going on here. I think we lost Gina for a second. I think she's frozen. I just told her to call back. She'll call us back in a moment. So stay live with us. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Deborah. Hey, everybody. Here she is. Here's Gina.
Oh, what happened?
You're back.
Oh, I can see you now.
You're back. You're
And
back.
so
Go ahead.
that person said to me, I'm the CEO of a company and we represent the catalogs of all of that music. We have some new artists, blah, 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 blah. Would you be interested? And I thought, yes, I would be definitely interested in that. And so he said, well, I don't do the hiring, but I can put you in touch with our president over our gospel division, and you all can go from there, and I'll be out of it. So he made an introduction. And from that introduction, the connection was made, and an opportunity was made for me to come into the label every day to really intern. Like there was no job at the time, but little did he know.
Wow.
Little did he know that he was
Wow.
saying to me, talk to this person about employment. And that then president said to me, we don't have any jobs here. And I said, well, can I come every day and just kind of hang out and see what's happening and learn? And he said, sure. And I did that really, Dr. Leo, for almost a year, like right at a year. I went into Light Records every day
Wait,
and
so let's
worked as if I was being paid.
wait. So let's go back right there one more time. Now you got me right. So you're telling me you went into this company. You asked them when they told you no jobs were available. You told them that I would like to intern. Let me just come
But
in.
mind you, and I say intern, but I have to be clear that I was already an adult married with two children. And so I was just like, is there a way we can figure out something? I mean, can I just come in and just see what it is you all are doing? Help however I can. I made myself available once I got there.
Mm.
And they were like, sure. So before we knew it, I was doing things as if I was being paid. And I literally, like, I looked at some early pictures the other day. I walked in there, Dr. Lee, I was as dressed as I could be every day. No, not, and that wasn't even necessary. But I was taught that you walked in wherever you're going with the intention that you're supposed to be there. And what that looked like to me was I needed to walk in looking like if any day they said stay, that I was ready for that. If there was any day that I needed to fill in for someone just because I was present, I needed to be ready for that. And so I walked in and I gave it all I had every day. I came home. There were a lot of things I didn't know what they were talking about because they were labeled industry terms and not teaching or ministry terms. So I would make a lot of notes and I would come home and make Google my best friend. And I studied and bought books and I learned and asked a lot of questions and I learned as much as I could. And about that, after that year's time, I was offered a part-time position.
Mm.
That then president walked to me. He said, "You're making me look bad. Like this is crazy that you're still here. But let's do something. Let's create something for you." So he created a job for me. There was a part-time job. I
Mm.
started there as a part-time coordinator position, doing radio and retail coordinating. And then from there, I was offered a full-time job. And after that, as it goes, I've been there. This is going on my 16th year. So, and I've worked radio promotions. I've worked retail, national sales. I've worked marketing. I've done pretty much everything you can think to do. I've been able to do some producing for some compilation records.
Wow.
It's been a great journey. It really has. I have no regret at all about that year's time that I invested for what the payoff has been now.
That is an unbelievable. I'm just sitting here. Wow. I mean, it's like I never would have imagined because I'm thinking your educational background connected you to this, and then you're in the right place. And I
No,
mean, this
I was in the right
is a
place at the
God
right
move. I
time.
mean, this is really a God move and a passion.
Oh, it's God. I mean, I see God's hand so clearly in it. I mean, truthfully, walking in. Let me tell you something. Even when it came down to, you know, compilation albums, like it was nothing to study because this was the music. Metropolitan. We were very traditional in
Right.
our music selections, right? Very much so. And so it was a stretch back then for me to even have permission, if you will, to play Sandra Crouch or I mean to play the Hawkins
Right.
family. Like
Right.
that was like, okay, that's as far as y'all can go.
Right.
And so, but the beautiful thing is like then we went to other churches and we heard great music. One of my best friends grew up in Olivet, and I felt like
Yeah.
Olivet and Bountiful Blessings, they were
Yeah.
singing radio music in
That's
their
what.
churches,
Right.
right?
Right.
They
Right.
sounded like the radio, like they sang
Right.
all the current music that was
Right.
on top 10 or whatever. And so we wanted that. Our young people, we sat sometimes and were like, we want to sing that too. But here's the
Right.
thing: had I had any other upbringing, I would have missed what I needed to know for now.
Yes.
And so everything that we did not get to do, but everything that we were able to do is absolutely the work I still do right now. Like
Mm.
those catalog records, we still have in our possession, and we are still making them new constantly. And so I just think that, those are the kind of things that as a young person, you don't realize how significant something is going to mean later. But if I could tell anybody anything, it's like you have to trust the process. We have to
Yeah.
trust that God always has your end in mind. And so
Mm.
you just have to believe that everything that you're going through, no matter how it looks or feels when you're going through it, is really going to make sense at some point, or you'll understand it as the song goes, better
Mm.
by and by.
Mm. Yeah.
You got to wait on your by and by.
You gotta wait on the by and by. That's it. It's the by and by. So Gina, did your educational background connect you at all to this, or was it? Would you look back and say, "Okay, I'm glad I did this because for the job now there is a connection," or what? What?
I am. I'm really glad that I've had the upbringing that I've had for my job now in many ways. I mean, I believe that, starting out thinking that I was going to also be a performer, um, has probably given me a lot of insight to understand what artists feel and what they go through, and what they, even from a mechanical, physiological standpoint, when things are happening to their voice, or, from an emotional standpoint, being stage
Yeah.
fright, or the process of just having to study and practice and what all that means. Like, absolutely. Like, I think that it was never God's intention for me to be on the stage, but I certainly believe that me thinking that that was where I was supposed to be, and everything connected to that path, is
Mm.
playing a part right now for helping everyone else get to the stage. And
Wow.
that's really the consolation. I think it's a broader idea. I mean, for years, Dr. Porter, my home
Yeah.
church pastor,
Yeah.
just retired, and we were laughing a few weeks ago, and he said to me, okay, I guess I can give up on the fact of you coming back. And for years, that was the plan. I mean, I probably went to college thinking I was going to come home and be
Right.
minister music of our
Right.
church. And
Right.
so it's a greater thought for me to think that now, Dr. Leo, I still am a minister of music every day. Like, I didn't leave there and not do the job. The job
Wow.
is still being done. And I consider that the bigger part of who I am. Is I still am a minister of music, and
Yes,
I
you
just
are.
love the
Yeah.
fact that we can look at it that way.
Yeah. So tell Gina, you're giving out so much life-giving information to us about your career and what to do. So tell us, what are some steps that one can take to ensure competency and career progression? We have a lot of vocalists. I see Carla Talbot Taylor.
Oh, hey,
Adrian,
Carla.
yeah, she's on. And so what are some things that artists can do to ensure competency and career progression, that they're progressing at the same time? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what? One thing I would say, entitlement and pride and
Mm.
ego will rob us from a lot of opportunities.
Mm.
I do think that we have to keep humility at the forefront. And that even means when you get to a certain place. Let me tell you something. One of the things that has encouraged me, like recently, I was talking to Pastor Caesar about a week ago about something, and she said to me, I just want to make sure that whatever I'm going to do, that it's going to be better than what I've done.
Mm.
Like, I don't know what kind of encouragement you have to do for yourself to be in a place where you've done so much and everything you do is incredible, to still yearn for that, to still be cognizant about the fact that I just want to keep getting better. And I think that because sometimes we can look at, there are certain words that have meaning that I think I like to kind of take out of the conversation when you're talking about artists, because they aren't apples to apples. But I do
Mm.
think that there are some fundamental things, like we got to be willing to put ourselves in the way. When
Mm.
you don't put yourself in the way, you don't even give room for what God could have waiting on you to show up, because you refuse to go places and do things without so much red tape and so much, so many different things that by the time you get there, you've killed the opportunities that could have been waiting for you.
Mm,
And some people don't even get there because they don't want to put themselves in the way and go out of the way to do something. They only want the way to be brought to them. And that's
my
not
Lord.
how it works. That's
Mm,
not
mm.
how it always works. And so I think that, for artists, I would constantly be thinking, am I on the right path? Am I really being true to who I am? I think that a lot of
Mm.
times we hear, and I mean true to what my gift
Yes,
is.
yes, yeah.
It's like, don't go beyond your capacity. But that requires honesty, and that requires someone to be close enough to you for accountability. And
Mm,
so, because the thing, we will take on things that ain't for us to do.
that's
That,
it.
you know what
Right,
I'm saying? I'm like trying to
right,
be the next thing or
right.
trying to emulate what we've seen or what we admired, even. Like, that's not necessary. And that would be the things that I believe trip more people up than just give us who you really are.
Right.
Because who you really are will work when you don't feel good. Who
That's
you
it.
really are is going to be who it is when ain't nobody there but one person listening.
Yeah.
Who you are, you know what I mean? I think we have to be mindful of that. And when I see people, it's so easy to hear people and you go, well, that sounds good, but wouldn't you rather hear their authentic voice?
Yes. Right.
Like, let your authentic self lead
Yeah.
you.
Mm.
That's what
Wow.
I think. That's what
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And so I think we also I have to say this, that we have to make sure that as artists, as professionals, as people, that we don't have dreams that don't line up outside, that line up with God's plan for us. Like, it's okay to have a
Mm.
dream, but we have to make sure that our dream also lines up with God's plan. Because sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't. And so then I always ask the question, would you be willing to abandon your dream for God's plan?
Mm. Mm.
Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, Gina, this is, I don't know. I'm thinking about so much of myself. It's so how would you define musical excellence within the context of industry?
Well,
I'm just trying to.
here's the thing, like excellence, and I use the word too, but it's in a general, broad conversation like this,
Right.
it's very difficult to speak to excellence because it's really relative and it's subjective to opinion.
Mm. Mm.
So I would
Right.
rather say, if it's not excellence, are we just giving our best?
Mm.
Because sometimes you can give your best and it doesn't look like excellence to someone else.
Yes. Right.
But if
True.
you're giving your best, then that's the most excellence that you
Right.
can do. Like then that's your excellence. That's
Yeah.
your definition of excellence.
Yeah.
And so I think we then have to be clear that we're comfortable with the definitions that we create for ourselves, for our own gifts.
Right.
I think everyone should do that. When you can define who you are, then you can understand more succinctly what excellence looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may figure out, like, I challenge everybody, like, are you living in 95% of who you are or 5%?
Mm.
And so if you're living somewhere between that, then there's more to do. So that you may not be reaching excellence. It's a
Mm.
pursuit. I don't know, should we even ever get to a place where we're not constantly looking for to make ourselves better? Kind of in the
Yeah.
words of what Pastor Caesar said to me, like, every day, like, that's the goal. I want today
Right.
to be better than yesterday. I
Yeah.
want the things that I say, the things that I do, the things that I'm thinking to create, to have better, to feel better than what I wrote down or thought about or prayed over yesterday. And
Yeah.
so I think that we have to be in a continual and perpetual state of pursuit of excellence. Like, let's not get to a place where, because that's when mediocrity sets in. When you get to the
Yeah.
place where you think I'm excellent where I am and I'm good,
Mm.
then you run the risk of everything else that follows kind of settling into this place of comfort and mediocrity. And no one, we aren't those people. That's
Right.
not who we are.
So you're constantly evolving and it seems being a Gina, I may be using the wrong term, but constantly reinventing yourself. That's one of my goals. I constantly do is a reinventing, and it inspires me to continue to plan. Like some people say, how long are you gonna be at Mississippi Boulevard or other thing? I said, when I cease to be inspired, I've already planned Christmas 2019. So I'm moving ahead. When those inspirations kind of cease and die down, then I think I'll sense that it'll be time to move on to
Well,
do
that's what
something.
I say too. Like when, and I don't know, reinvent as much as reevaluate. I'm reevaluating
Yeah,
constantly, evaluating constantly,
yeah.
reassessing, reimagining constantly. And
What are
so
what are
it,
some of the tools? How do you do that, Gina? So what are some of the tools that reimagining,
I mean,
reevaluating?
you really
How do
have
you
to
do
look
that?
at it comes from goal setting, probably more for me. When you reach the goal or don't reach the goal, like you have to reimagine or sit down and reassess what didn't work for you not to reach the goal. And then once you reach it, there comes that word again, reimagine, reassess. Like, okay, so do you do the same thing? Can the same thing even be duplicated and replicated? Or do you have to find new ways and come up with a new strategy and a
Mm-hmm.
new vision to do something new? And I think that those are the things that you have to stop in it long enough to take away what worked, what didn't work, what should have worked, and how to make it all work when you try
Right,
it again.
right. Who or what are some influences or major influences that you have had the opportunity to engage with, would you say?
Well, as far as our artist roster, or you just mean just generally speaking.
Just in general, I don't want to put you on the spot with a particular artist, but just some people that influence that would say, you know what, this has really influenced my path.
Well, you
This,
know what? I'm gonna tell you. I think that the good thing about that question, I'm glad. Thank you for keeping me off the hook, because I really do think that I'm in a unique place where I absolutely am so incredibly fond of everyone that has, that we represent in whatever
hmm
capacity.
hmm hmm
I really try to live in a space and vein where I just find and see and look for and expect the good in
Right,
everybody. And
right.
so it's easy to see when you're looking for something.
Yeah.
And we have to put ourselves in a mindset of one expectation, and that's no matter who it is. So, but I would much rather say not so much a person that has imparted any kind of information that's helped me on my path, as much as I would say I look for those kind of things with when I'm engaging with anybody. I walk up to every conversation with expectation.
Mm,
I don't expect to leave anywhere that I'm present without some clarity of why I was there and what I was supposed to take with me from that experience. So I think that we have to, like, if you're waking up this morning and you haven't gotten out the bed and said, I am expecting something great
mm,
today, then you need to sit back down on the bed and start over.
right, right.
And you have to really say that. I look at every conversation with that same thing at the forefront. Like,
Yes,
okay, why am I taking this call?
yeah,
And every call is not about assigning. Some calls are
right.
about clarity for people so they can go
Yeah,
do. Some calls are about opportunity. Some calls about our encouragement for myself too. And so it's like you have to be thinking with an expectancy that, one, before you do anything, God already has lined up
yes,
everything that you're going to need for the day,
yes.
for your journey. Like, for real, for real. Like, we gotta just own those things. And
Right.
I think that I own that. I own that every
Yeah,
day. Like, nothing's mistaken, nothing's by happenstance, nothing is, it's coincidental. Like, no, this has all been purpose for something greater that I need to take the time to make sure I understand why it's happened this way and what my takeaway has to be.
right, right. So tell us, Jana, what are some valuable lessons that you learned, challenges, pitfalls that you want to admonish those upcoming? But what are some valuable lessons that you've learned that you would say throughout your career?
I would say one thing: don't stop learning, don't stop
Mm,
studying.
mm,
Um, that's on one side of it. I would definitely say that that's been valuable to me to continue to be, I study what everyone's doing. I study the trends. I study metrics. I study numbers. I study
Mm,
churches. I study a lot of different things, and part of that just is because of my upbringing. Like, I came from a background that was like, no, education is important, and I think it still is important, no matter where you are. Like, you can always learn more. There's more to understand, and we have to be those that are willing to continue to seek what we don't know.
yeah,
And I believe in that more than anything. I think that when I think I'm sitting here thinking about my journey as far as hurdles and things like that. One of the things I was sharing with my son the other night, that probably the greatest thing that I've kind of encountered just living, that has certainly helped me with my job, but I
mm,
think for all of us, don't be loss is inevitable. And I
mm,
think that for me is losing. That's losing moments. That's losing people. That's the loss of something. That's grieving something. That's having to let go of something. Everybody that starts with you ain't gonna finish with you. And I said
that's
that.
it.
I said ain't on purpose.
Right, right, right.
And that could be in a physical sense. That could be an emotional sense. That could be financial. That could be in a lot of ways, if we could go into that. But I really want people to be okay that loss is not the end of the world. My divorce taught me a lot of things. And
Mm,
that was 11 years ago, but I think that I still had to live through it to
mm,
show up and come to work every day and still operate at a level that cannot be an excuse. And I couldn't die in that, right? There was still too much
right,
life to happen after that. And so I think that looking at that, and during that time, probably in the last, I've lost my father. I mean, I just look at it. I look at loss. You're not going to always win every accolade or achievement or accomplishment that you
right.
set out, or goals won't always be met. Like, but loss is so important. I
Yeah,
think loss will keep you humble. I think
yes,
that it also will give you another place as a starting reference to just look to build upon, to see if, well, what part did I play in this, if any, and what can I learn, and what kind of empathy can I have, or how can I celebrate others? Perhaps if it's a different kind of loss. Like, I love now that I can look at those moments and not cringe, or be sorrowful about the
mhm,
things that I was lost. Loss also, and I told my son this, I was like, loss also means that you have an opportunity to go in there and be better the next time. Like,
yes,
maybe it is the next time. If you have to start over from something, like, it's okay to have to begin again. Like, I
mm,
think that we have to be able to embrace that it's not going to always turn out the way we want, but that's
right,
not a death sentence that it has to end there.
right.
And then I think we have to get wise counsel. I think
Yes,
we have to get
yes,
people around us that
yes,
feed us in a way that we need, that we can be healthy people,
yes,
mind,
exactly.
body, and spirit. Like, there is so much foolishness enough in the world. Like, I just don't want to have foolish people around me and in my
Right,
ear. And
right.
because of that, if you have wise counsel around you, you can have some people that you can lean on that will help you understand where you are without
Right,
offense.
right, right.
And so I do believe that those things are necessary. We need that.
So, Gina, tell us, so away from excellence, I'm doing something to tell us personally how you define success. What's success for you? How do you know what's your metric, or how do you design and say, okay, this was successful? How do
Well,
you?
it depends. So, every day I think I'm looking at a list of things, and they all have their own definition of success,
Right,
because they all have their own structure and goals based on what it is. And
right,
so, I think that the main thing is that you have to define it for yourself. What's successful for me? Like, even if we were working on an apples to apples project, like, what's successful to me might not be the same thing for you. So
right.
I'm gonna give you an example, and I've used this before.
Yes,
Like, when
yes.
you're talking about apples to apples, you could go into a parking lot right now at the Boulevard Church and see three Cadillacs parked side by
Right,
side,
exactly,
right? Well,
exactly.
They all are black. They all are the same year. They're all the same body style. And they, from the parking lot, they look like the same exact car.
Right.
But what happens, and this is what happens in the music industry, what happens is when all three of those drivers get in the car, what you don't know are the variables, which is
Yeah.
why you have to define success for yourself. So
Mm.
when those three people went to buy their cars, you got one person that paid cash.
Right.
That person drives off with no note.
Right.
You
Right.
got the second person that had moderate credit. They had a little money down,
Right.
and they might have a note that's about 350, 400 a month.
Right.
You don't know about the miles. Maybe they got decent miles, maybe not, but it's still relative, right?
Right. Right.
Because we can assume maybe the person that drove off and paid cash had no miles on their
Right.
Cadillac
Exactly.
or low miles.
Right.
Okay, so then you got the third person, jacked up credit, 100,000 miles on their Cadillac, and the
Right.
interior looks like why we even sitting in here.
Right. Right.
And the truth of the matter, that could be a successful evaluation for that person because it's based on what they could do. It's based on their pocket. It's based on, what they spend every month. So they still driving from the outside. You don't know. And it's funny I use Cadillac because I was even thinking about my own. I have a Cadillac Escalade my oldest son drives now. But
Uh,
at the time, people would pull up to it and think, "Oh, girl, this car is so amazing! Like it's so clean. It's so." Well, yeah, because I kept it clean. But what you
right.
didn't know on the inside, when we got in the car, like is where all the problems were. But from the outside, parked next to the other ones, it looked great.
Right.
And
Right.
so we don't always know what's happening on the inside of things for people. We don't know what's happening on the inside of someone else's home or on the inside of their companies or on the inside of whatever it is that they're doing, that we can really accurately look at someone else and go, I'm measuring what I believe my success is with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I would say we should not do that because you don't know what's happening on the inside. You
Right.
only really need to focus on what's happening in your car and where you're headed. Like
Right.
we
Right.
can stay away from, what's happening with anybody else and
Yes.
define success for yourself.
Share with us, Gina, your involvement, your extracurricular involvement in various organizations and your philanthropy work. I was very impressed with that. Reading
Well,
that.
it's I love this part. I do so I'm working right now with Creatives Day in Nashville. It's a nonprofit. I'm very proud of them and what all that organization is about. I also do work and lead our Nashville chapter of NABFEM, which
Mm.
is the National Association of Black Female Executives in entertainment and music. I'm joining the board for Claiborne Temple this year, so I'm
Oh,
excited about that. I'm
yeah.
very excited about that. So I'll be able to come home for some board meetings for that.
Yeah.
Harmonic South is close to my heart, and that's another nonprofit in Memphis. And what they do is teach strings in the summertime to children, young people in South Memphis, and it's a great program. The children don't pay; they all get a violin, and so mostly there are a lot of different things that I do that are really close to the arts. This year, I was part of a special committee of spiritual development for Belmont's music business students. So,
Wow.
it's just been it's all the things I just try to do. One, no more than I can take on,
Yeah.
but I definitely seek out things that are more creative scope in nature or supporting women's efforts.
Yeah. This question might be along the line. That is fabulous, your work. So this question might be along the line of what we answered earlier. For an individual that's trying to pursue a career in music, in the music industry, whether sacred or secular. I had a kid 2 weeks ago said, Dr. Davis at the church, I'm really interested, but it's not gospel. I want to do secular. And their heart just sunk. I said, hold your head up. First of all, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's wonderful. So how pursuing these careers, what do you admonish and what do you want to share?
Well, I think young people, artists, whatever age you are, you really just have to do what's in your heart to do. Like it goes
Yeah.
back to being authentic. Like if that's who you are, whatever you are authentically, I think that's what you should seek out to do. It would come across more genuine and be more connectable and relatable to people if you do the thing that it's so funny. We did a talent show last year, and there was a young lady. She got up to sing. She may have been about 18, and
Mm.
she started singing a song from church, a gospel song, and it was just as flat as it wanted to be, Dr. Leah.
Yeah.
Like, I
Right.
mean, I don't want to say it was terrible, but I sat there and I thought, and then I asked her to sing it again. I was like, "Are you, are you frightened? Like, sing the song again." And she sang it again, and I was like, "Oh, I know what's happening here." So I stopped her, and I said, "Who are some of your influences? Beyonce, Janelle Monáe." Like, I just started
Right.
naming people, and she was like, and she lit up,
Yeah.
and she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "Sing me a Beyonce song." She started singing like she was on Broadway.
Wow.
And I stopped her and I said, "Where are your mom? Point out your mom and daddy, because I know what's happened here. They
Right.
have told you that you can only do gospel music, and so you doing it begrudgingly, and we can
Right.
tell."
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so they got up, and I was like, "Hey, mom and dad, I promise you, she'll be okay. Like, she's not, she won't be cast away.
Right.
She's not getting
Right.
turned down for
Right.
first class ticket to
That's
hell or
it.
anything for
Right.
singing something else. Like there's a way to do it where you don't have to abandon or forfeit your belief system and who you are. And
Mm.
lyrics matter, and they matter no matter what we're singing, right? Your
Right.
own posture, your own intention, all of that matters. So I think I absolutely still say that we have to get people outside of, I mean, really, this is how we get people doing jobs and owning things and creating things and trying to start things that they it's never supposed to be that they do. Like, if I let people tell me, girl, you should open up you a short order restaurant, a little restaurant, because you could. No, I should not. I cook
Right.
well enough for my house. Like,
Right. Right.
no, no. Like, we have a lot of things that I think people are good at,
Yeah.
that we cannot make businesses out of everything that's a hobby or a talent.
Right.
Like, we have to have a little more intentionality and clarity about the things that can make global impact
Mm.
before we start. And
Wow.
so that's what I would
That's
say.
great advice. So, what's next on the horizon for Gina Miller? What's next on?
You know what? I'm gonna shy away from falling into the, "Oh, it's a new year, I'm gonna turn a new chapter," and
Yeah.
no. I think because really, I've probably been feeling like most of us need to stay on the same page. We need to
Yeah.
stop turning the chapters and
Yeah.
stop. We're
Yeah.
not ready for a new chapter or a new
Right.
book. Like, so I'm gonna put this back on myself and not everybody else. But for me, Dr. Leo, I just really want God to continue to give me the strength and grace and
Mm.
wisdom to continue.
Yeah.
I just want to continue. Like, that's really what I feel that's new. I want to have some new creativity, some new ideas, some new relationship, like all the things that I'm wishing for everybody else. I absolutely wish for myself, but more
Yes.
than anything, I just, if God does nothing else but keep me on the path that I'm on, I just want the strength to continue.
Yes. Yes. And that's important that we just rely the strength to continue and endure. And that's the process. And then through that, he gives us the wisdom what to do and how to do it as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
I think that I do have expectations, and I'm not losing any sleep over what's coming and how it's
mm,
going to look. I'll know it when it gets here. And until
yeah,
it gets here, I'm just thankful for today, in this
right.
moment, and what I have set before me for now. So that's really where I am.
So we've got a wide audience today, Gina, from scholars to pastors, ethnomusicologists, musicians, singers. Everybody's on to hear Gina Miller talk. So, what are three core standards you want to leave with these with individuals today for success of musical excellence or success in their career, in their lives, whatever the path? What are three things you would say to and to
Okay, so I already touched on being you and being
be
authentic.
authentic, right?
I would say, don't forget to, I think I said prepare already, plan ahead. And I think, in worship, I mean, for all of those, whether it's artists, whether it's
Right,
pastors, worship leaders, for sure, we got to have time for preparation because we know it and we see it.
right,
Like we do,
right,
right?
right.
I think that we have to be mindful of all that is pure, and
Yes.
that our heart, because we see that too, like we feel that too, even when it's not that your heart isn't pure, but if there's a heaviness there, I think
Mm,
we have to be careful that when we get before people that we don't pour our blood out on the folks that we're in front of.
right.
Like
Oh, wow.
we got to be
Talk
careful
more
that
about that. That's good. That's good.
I mean, we do. I see it. And you just hurt. I just hurt for the people that aren't healed enough to just make it through the assignment that's in front of them.
Mm,
And we get in front of people, and I've heard it said you end up bleeding on people that ain't even cut you.
right.
Like, and so it's like we got to make sure that if we're not healed, that we can at least put it on hold and come back to it in the moments that we're charged to be inspiration for people, and not people that leave feeling worse than they felt when they sat down
Yeah.
in front of us.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I think being gracious is important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think being respectful is important.
Right.
Being respectful of the people that you serve, no matter what your capacity as pastor, as worship leader, as artist, being respectful. Boy, I might have to sit on that one for a second.
Right. 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 Go ahead. Let's talk more
We
about it.
have
Go ahead.
respect is such a crazy thing, like, and it shouldn't be. Like,
Right.
just giving. I mean, people don't know. Honor and respect are not the same thing, but people don't really know how to do honor well. Like that, I don't understand that, but that's another thing. But for sure, we all learned in kindergarten or in Sunday school, if you ain't been, like what respect at a simple level looks like.
Right.
And we
Right.
have to be willing to give respect, to people and where it's due.
Right.
I think that being serious and being mature
Mm,
is are important things too that we can't overlook. And what maturity does. I was telling my team, some of them on the team a few weeks ago, all this conversation. There's so much conversation always about loyalty and about what that looks like and what that means, and love even. But I don't know if I would expect anything from anybody without first thinking about maturity. So much
mm,
so, it took me back to the place where, because we get into these relationships and we got this whole list of things that we're looking for, even on a business level. You want your teams to be loyal to you and to your cause, and you want people to treat you a certain way, and you want people to have all this insight on these different things. And I'm like, when you got maturity, the rest of that would happen.
right. Right.
And it took me back to when my mom, when I was a younger girl, my mom was like, I don't know if you're gonna be dating at 16. It might be 18. It's gonna depend on your maturity. Like that
Yeah.
literally just hit me like a few
Right.
weeks ago. Like that's probably what she meant. It's the
Right.
way I feel about it. Like everything, when you mature, you can have sound and real conversations with
Yes.
people. You can
Yes.
have, you can have someone say to you, you know what? Let me help you grow in this area, and you're okay with understanding that you need some growth in that area. So I
Right.
think that those are the kind of things that we have to be mindful too of people's backgrounds and their time. Um, Backgrounds are important because I especially think about whether it's artistry or in a church setting. Not everyone comes from the same background, and so everyone comes to the table with a different palette, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have to keep that in mind, that when you're in whatever role you're in that involves people, chances are you're gonna be met with different palettes. We got
Right.
dietary restrictions and
Right.
allergies and all these different things on a physical, natural level, but spiritually as well, and for sure when it comes to talent and skill level.
Right.
And so there are so many debates going on. We could talk a whole another hour or two about all these conversations about what's going on in the church, like who's to blame, the hymns not being
Right.
as
Right.
prevalent,
Right.
and I've been a part of a lot of those conversations, and I'm like, I got a lot of opinion about that too, but I think we have to first take a step back and think the people that we want to know, whatever we want them to know, they had a starting place somewhere that may not have prepared them in the way that we're expecting for them.
Right. Right.
And so
Right.
we just have to keep all of that in mind. That I think that don't let age, size, or the length of time of service determine what you deem as significant
Mm,
and effective.
mm-hmm,
And I think that those are the things when you go between churches of different sizes and you
mm-hmm.
go between companies, someone's doing something that there's not too many new ideas.
Right.
So there's a chance that there's going to be churches that are doing some of the same things. I mean, there's only so many ways we can tweak around this church calendar, right? Like it just,
Right.
we didn't write this, right? Like this is not original
Right.
content.
Right.
And so,
Right.
so I'm like, it would behoove us to be okay that there may also be two cookie companies as well, or whatever it is. Like, you just give excellence back to excellence is giving the best that you can handle,
Do. That's it.
the best that you can do. Because here's the thing, excellence, skillfulness, I, they are so subjective, and they can almost sound like kind of judgy, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
judgmental. And the gratifying part should really be not necessarily, if you can answer this, not how good it is, but it's God getting the glory.
Mm-hmm.
That may be the better way we should say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if God's getting the glory out of it, guess what? It's good.
It's good. And the people will be blessed when He's glorified. His people will be edified. They're blessed as a result of it.
Oh,
And there's no
absolutely.
way around it. I mean, like
Absolutely.
Jonathan Nelson. I mean, I'm just mentioning that, but he blessed us so on so many levels. First of all, and as you mentioned, and I can go back. First of all, his personality was so
Oh
welcoming
yeah.
and giving, and so he won the choir during the rehearsals, and then he won our congregation over with his beautiful smile and his kind heart. And then the music just took us right there because
Yeah.
the right
Well, having the heart, I mean, the
concept.
heart is you can almost deal with people that may not have the
Right.
musicianship that
Yeah.
that's pleasing to your ear if you know that it's something that's coming from their
Right.
heart,
Right.
right? I think
Right.
that that's that posture, because that's really what worship is about. It's a posture
Yeah.
of the heart.
Yeah.
And so we have to be willing like to be those people that our heart is seeing. And
Right.
then when your true heart is seen, you can see the other things that need to be seen.
Yeah.
I think we have to, I mean, especially in worship, it's nothing like being somewhere where they're singing to themselves.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have to remember our function and
Right.
our role in these moments.
Right.
And that's all of the moments. Let me tell you, I think too, that servitude is still the solution.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just best to just not try to make it a win or lose scenario and just be like, what can I do to make it better? Like, what can I do for you today?
Right. Right.
What can I do to make where you're going what it needs to be?
Right.
How can I help? What can I lend my hands and my voice
Yes.
to
Yes.
to get you going down the road a little further?
Yes.
So I think that's really what I believe.
Yes. Well, Gina, this has been a remarkable session. I can't thank you enough for your time. I know you're busy. I know you're out of town right now.
I am, I'm a little hotel room set up, but we good.
But I just love you, appreciate, the magnitude of your work, but the magnitude of your heart is just it's always overwhelmed me, and it's been amazing, and it just shows Christ. It shows nothing but genuineness and authenticity. And I wish you the best, pray the best for you. You have so many Carlos Nichols is on here. He loves you to death.
Oh, I love me some Carlos. Carlos texted me last night, said he was dressing up like he was gonna be in the
Right.
auditorium watching.
It probably is. It probably is. I love him.
I
I'm
just
so
love
proud of
him.
my
I'm
mom
so
is
proud of him.
on. My mom is on. Alicia Jones, Calvin Barnes. So many are on from Memphis. So we just want to thank you. Before we go, just a few announcements, and then we're going to ask you to do closing prayer. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just a couple of announcements. You've been asking Gimmicks 2.0, the workbook, and the book have been released. So that's you can contact me, PayPal. Can send it to you. I'm gonna have a book signing within the next 2 weeks. I'll let you know.
I need that workbook.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'll get it all to you. Text me your address. I'll send you all everything
Okay.
right away to you. Next week's guest will be a Stellar Award winner several times, and we're honored to have. I'm thrilled that he's available. Jonathan Nelson will be our guest on next Friday at 9 o'clock. So we want you to enjoy and be here for that. This weekend at Mississippi Boulevard, we're having our MLK celebration. So we're excited. Reverend Jesse Jackson is our guest speaker. Thomas Allen, the remarkable countertenor that you on Ricky Dillard's new CD is singing. He's doing not only doxology, but Nathan Carter's Someday with the choir. And also added guests that we just found out that will be coming with Reverend Jackson. Audrey Dubois Harris is going to be coming. You know, the soloist that's performed at Aretha Franklin's funeral. She'll be with us Sunday. So we're going to have Flo Roach is producing a skit to tribute to the sanitation workers. You don't want to miss Sunday at the Boulevard. It's going to be an amazing day, an amazing service. Our closing thought for today, and then my friend and Gina is going to close us out. Our closing thought is from Michelle Obama's new book, Becoming. And she says, there's grace in being willing to know and hear others. This, for me, is how we become. Michelle Obama. That's any thought for today. Gina, would you close us out in prayer?
I will. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you to you. I want to thank you for the years and years of excellence for us, for our city, for being an ambassador of music, for creating platforms for artists, for just continuing to raise the bar and giving me this opportunity and also many for exposure and love and nurturing. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I really do. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea the number of people that absolutely love you for who you are, and not so much for what you've done, but certainly appreciative of everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Keep going.
That means a lot. Thank you, Gina.
Here we go. Father God in heaven, we just thank you right now for this day. We thank you for waking us up this morning. We thank you for brand new mercies. God, I just want to thank you for everyone who joined us this morning. Please touch them all in a special and unique way. Thank you for Dr. Leo. Please give him also the strength and the grace to continue to do everything that is in his heart to do and everything that you would have for him to do. I just pray that the right people connect to him to continue to help him as he goes along. Please give us all the strength that we all need. Bless those who are struggling through something right now, and for those who can't quite see the way, I just ask right now, God, that you would make the way clearer to those that need to see it differently. Please touch those so that illuminate in them an understanding of what their purpose is and everything that you would have us to be and which way that you would want us to go. I just thank you right now for your mercy and for your grace and for your power. We thank you for continuing to keep us and guide us and covering us and protecting us from last night to this morning. God, we just leaning on you right now in all things. I thank you for going before us today and going throughout this day with us and the rest of this weekend. I trust and pray that you'll be everything that you said you would be, and we believe in you to be all those things. God, we're needing you to be all that we know you to be, and so we just ask you to show up and do what you're going to do and show out in the way that we need you to. God, I just thank you. I can't thank you enough for this time, for this moment, for these people, for everything that everyone's heard. God, please move me out the way, and I hope that some kind of way they've seen you in everything that we've expressed. Thank you so much, God, for being God all by yourself. Thank you so much for your healing power. Thank you for the miracles that we can expect to see this weekend, God. We just thank you and we thank you and we thank you, God, in three persons. Blessed Trinity. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. That was
Let me stop because I
Go
will
on
pray
now.
all day with y'all.
Go ahead now. Love you so much. Thank you so much. Audience, you all share this. Share it. Gina, talk to you later. Thank you.
All right.
Love you.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.